Hi everyone, my name's Anne-Marie. Welcome to this Spellbinders card making project. In this project we're going to be making a gorgeous card using the Spellbinders special birthday stamps, and we're going to be using the Astoria decorative accent, which is a 3 die set, and we're going to be using all 3 of the dies that are in the set. I just want to point out that this die is very ornate, and when you get it, you should get a little detailed item in it, and it's a card that describes how you can cut your die, because with it being so intricate you might need to add an extra layer of cardstock or use a different mat to be able to get the depth and detail of the die. It's one of the special ones that it's a cut embossed stencil kind of die from Spellbinders, and it just takes maybe a few extra passes through your machine than normal dies. The 2 smaller dies, they're the same as any other die. 1 pass and an emboss, you should be fine. It's just a larger one. You can use wax paper with it, try different techniques and slightly move it on your mat to get the rollers of the machine to go over it in different places. So I just wanted to sort of mention that. So those are the items from Spellbinders that we're going to be using, and we're going to be using a 7 by 5 inch card. As always, I'm going to just give it a quick score along the edge to make sure we've got a nice sharp fold. This is how it looks on our cardometer, the 7 by 5, just to give you an idea at home of how it looks and a perspective of what size that I'm working on. Everything I do use, I'll put details on my blog with a full description of the item and the link, if I can add it, from Spellbinders. So this is our card, and the first thing we're going to do, as if by magic, I'm going to score halfway through the card. So with it being a 7 by 5 inch card, or I think in the States you call them 5 by 7, I've measured 2.5 inches from either side, simply down the middle, and I've made a score, because we're going to make an easel card. Now, I've shown you the items that we're using, and those are the only items that we're using apart from some ink. It's simply because I've been asked about making easier projects with less items, so I thought this one will fit the bill perfectly. So I've scored it down the middle, and then I've folded it, and I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm simply going to make sure that that is a good sharp score along the edge. Now normally at this point I say we're going to do the inside first for the insert, which we are, but on this occasion it's going to be slightly different to making an insert for a card. So the first thing that I've done is I've die cut the frame. Now I'm using an ivory based card, and I've cut the frame in ivory as well. They're not the same cardstock, but because of all the decorative work on the die cut, it does look as though that they match perfectly. So all I've done is I've put double-sided tape on the back of it, and I'm simply going to take my wet glue and I'm just going to add a little bit in a few places around the edge. With it being very ornate, I just want that extra little bit of stick so it's wide enough in some areas that you can add the extra bit of glue. So I'm simply going to pop this in the centre of the inside of our card. And I know you're thinking, well, that's a bit strange, because if you're making an easel card, or you've gone to all that work for the fanciness, but don't worry, it'll all come right in the end. So we'll just give it a few seconds to take hold where we've added the glue. Next, I've cut out the next size down in the die set, and then I've inked it and I've stamped using the Spellbinders stamps, I've inked it using a mixture of inks. I will put the mixture of inks on my blog. It includes scattered straw, wild honey and gathered twigs on this one. And then I've stamped it using a Timber Stays On brown ink pad. I've put it on 3D foam and I'm going to position it to the front of our card over the top of the frame that we've just put in. So it can sit just there nicely. Now that's what you would class as the inside done. So you've got enough space to write a message to and from. Next we're going to turn our attention to the front of the card. Now again, just because it's an easel card, you know, you still want to make sure you've got your good sharp score along the edge still. And what I've done for the next part, I've die cut the frame and I've inked it using shaded lilac, weathered wood, scattered straw, wild honey and gathered twigs. I will put them on my website. Obviously you use whatever colours you've got at home, or you might want to use a pattern paper, something like that. Now you can see in the middle that where I've inked around the edge, it looks, you know, it looks great around the edge, but the middle is what you call really messy. But don't worry about that because we're going to add something over that. So the idea of an easel card is that it's going to stand up. So on the back of the frame, I've only put double-sided tape up to half of it because we're going to position it and attach it just to half of our card. So I can remove my tape and then we can attach it just to the card like that, and the tape will stick just to this section and it will fold like that. So don't worry, I'll show you it all folded when we're finished. But it's this section here you don't want tape on. So that's the basis of our card, the base layer. So what I've done then is I've die cut the frame again, and then I've cut out, and I didn't worry about all the embossing and the detail because I just wanted the middle section. So this is the middle section. So I die cut it and then I just trimmed the outside away, and so it's going to cover up our messy inking. And so I've taken the middle section and I've stamped just at the top of it using the Spellbinders rubber stamps, again using the same Timber Stays On ink, and then I've just slightly inked it around the edge, which, if I remember rightly, it's gathered twigs at the top and wild honey at the bottom, just so that it tones in with the rest of the card. I've got 3D foam on the back of it and I'm simply going to place that over our frame base. So trying to get it to cover it nice and straight like that. So we've got that section that covers our messiness. Next, what I've done, the third die in the set of 3 was a flower die, and this is how it looks when you die cut it and emboss it. I've just added a few pearls. So I've die cut it and I've embossed it, and then I die cut it and embossed again, and I cut the extra flowers away and I inked them, and then I've added them with 3D foam onto the top of the previous flowers. So that's my flower, and I've inked the tiny little bits. I inked them before I cut them away, and then I've reattached them over the top to make my own decoupage piece of flowers. So that's how I made the little flowers that we're going to add. So with these, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little bit of wet glue because they're going to hang over the edge slightly. So we'll just add the glue. I've got 3 of these and I've added pearls onto them, and I'm simply going to attach them onto the centre, and then the 2 side ones I'm going to do exactly the same. Add them onto the centre of the card, just a little bit higher so they fit in the square middle, should say rectangle really, and then glue on the last one like that. Obviously at home you'll be taking a little bit more time and adding your glue a little bit better than I have done, and that's the 3rd one on our card like that. Now I did say I've added pearls to them as well, so I've just added pearls at either side of the flowers and 1 at the stem. So those are our 3 flowers, and that is our card finished. And it's such a pretty card, and it will sit so perfectly on any mantelpiece. I'm just going to spin it round so that you can see the full effect. And that's using just 2 products, but creating a really pretty card. So you can see the rectangle that we made the middle die from the set, that's the stopper for the easel. So you'll be able to post it flat. There's not a lot of dimension to it. It's not a lot thicker than if you had 2 layers of decoupage on a card. And then the recipient can just open it up and pop it on their mantelpiece and give you a ring and say thank you very much. It's lovely. But it's a nice, I won't say easy because of your die cutting, because there's a little bit of extra work involved there. However, it's a great card for using not so many products and getting a good result and something a little bit different. So please check my blog for so many more projects. I love hearing from you, so you can always comment on my blog. I'd just like to say thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.